This is a fun little tangle called Nata. It starts with a wee spiral and the spiral gets bigger and bigger. Oops, I'm out of focus. And bigger. Might just have to stop to fix my focus a little bit. It's a bit further away, but hopefully it'll stay focused. So this, I think it's actually not called Nata in Zentangle world, but Nata is Māori for snail, and that's what I always think it looks like. So kind of made up some of my own words here, but Rick and Maria being so cool, their only rule about sharing Zentangle is don't be a dick. So I'm sure that we can manage to use some of our own native language without being a dick. So this one I'm calling Nata, and what I'm doing is just making a little band that comes together to a point. Kind of these remind me of those lifesavers on a ship. Don't know why, but I'm making these like chunks. They're smaller at this end, and then they go wider to the outside end, and then we colour in all of the middle section. A little lifesaver line. And another chunk. This is really effective, and you can, I think we'll do, once we've done the paper one, we might do one on a stone as well. You can do this on stone, but you can also do it with different colours. And it's a really good one if you have a white pencil or a white pen or a white charcoal. There's a nice little flourish at the end of this that you can do. The segments are kind of getting bigger as we go around and wider. Turning your tile all around, sitting comfortably, remembering to breathe, just enjoying the process. Each of the segments has a sort of a rounded appearance, and that will become even clearer once we put some shading in. Just going to extend this line a little bit to give us one more. Just going to sort of tuck that tail in, but you can do whatever you like with it really. So now I have this snail shape, and with my shading I'm going to shade, not actually going to shade on the black parts at all, but I'm going to put a little bit of shade on either side of these lines where there is white space on either side of the lines. And the thing with when you're using a tortillon or a blending stump, you can be pretty rough with your pencil. It doesn't have to be too delicate, because it's the blending stump that will really do all the work to tidy it up. And I'm going to blend inward toward the center of my snail shape, my nata. So it's giving us a nice shaded effect. Making this appear to be very rounded. And here's the very final piece that really makes this Nata tangle pop, and that is if you've got a white pencil and you can just follow your line right through the middle of your snail so that it's adding a highlight through the middle. Yeah, appreciate what you've created. Enjoy, happy tangling. I found a white stone. And the wonderful thing about these PN pens is that you can actually use them on stone as well, which works really well. So to create my Nata shape, I can just do exactly the same thing again, only this time on my white background as a stone. Let's see how that comes out. I've got a white stone, which is kind of unusual. I collected these from Napi Beach, north of Canterbury. A wonderful person in one of my Zentangle classes told me all about this mythical beach that has white, nice flat round white stones that wash up. So we took a drive out there and sure enough, that is exactly what we found. But if you don't have a white stone or you have a grey stone, then it works just as effectively. You can use a grey stone to do the same patterning. Just finishing that, and the pencils work well on this stone as well. So that's easy enough to add our shade. And I don't really add the shade onto the black because sometimes the graphite gives a kind of a sheen over top of the black and it doesn't really look right. It takes away from the shading, so that's why I just tend to, where I've got drama tangles like this where there's a lot of black, I tend to try and avoid the black with the pencil just so that we don't end up with a funny metallic looking sort of a space. I'm going to shade that towards the inside. Tortillon. So everything works just as well as it does on paper with this particular design. And what I'll do when I'm finished with this is I'll give the whole thing a couple of coats of Mod Podge just to give it that sort of everlasting sheen. Here's my little finishing touch with the white. And I'll go over that with Mod Podge. Enjoy. This is another one you might enjoy for its therapeutic qualities. I'm just going to use a white gel pen and use a black piece of paper, but you could similarly do this with black on white. I'm just doing it for variation really. And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to start with a nice, easy, simple square. This is called Hammer Box, and I just love this tangle because it has this really sort of really good, basically this square that's in the middle just disappears in the end. So what you do is you start with by making just like, I always think of this looks like I'm turning this into a cup of tea. It's like a handle, I'm putting a handle. Then I'm going to turn my tile, put the exact same handle again, and turn again. And I love this tangle for its therapeutic benefits because really you are just turning and making that same shape. And you could sort of do this for ages and you could watch it for ages. I know when I first saw this online, I just really enjoyed watching the artist actually make the shape. If you are using a gel pen, you need to just, it's really counterintuitive, but you actually need to, the lighter you press, the better the ink rolls out of these pens. And I have a white pen here, and I also have a gold pen, and I think we might use that in one of the lessons to come. And you can be using any paper, but it is really best if you have a piece of paper that you can keep turning, so rather than having paper that's in a book or a large piece of paper, maybe cutting it down to start with so that you can just turn and draw and turn I've got room to just squeeze another one in here, another one in there. They're just getting a little smaller and closer together each time. And I'm going to go to the inside of my square, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going in the opposite direction, so it's like I'm making a little love heart in this middle shape with a line down the middle, and turn and shoot. Whoops. No mistakes in Zentangle. Turned it the wrong way, shot the wrong way. That one's going to look a little bit different. Try and make it go the same way. I think you might have all ended up with something better looking than my poor example, but you can see that square has virtually disappeared. And then what I like to do is, because these always look to me like there's some sort of bunch of scallops or something from the bottom of the ocean, so I kind of just draw in some little bubbles, just float them around the place. And just ink in the parts where those bubbles leave shape. And just like we did with Nata, I'm going to take this in a little direction that is onto a stone. I've got a really small stone here, so it's going to be a really small hammer box. But I'm going to use my white pen first of all. And sometimes with the stone, with these gel pens, if you've got a very smooth stone, then it'll come out nice and easily. But if you have a little bit of rough in that, you might need to just cover over your lines a few times. I'm going to repeat that same process. And with the stones, it's very fun because they sort of just spin on their own. This is a very small example. I might only get a wee few. And here be a smaller example than the black square. But yes, you can take this in all sorts of directions, and you can use different colours or different coloured paper, different coloured pens. Or you can just use this as part of a much larger pattern or tangle. Then going to the inside of the box. I wonder if you can even see what I'm doing. Going onto the inside of the box, and it's hard to get the ink to come out unless the pen is quite straight up. So it's hard to have you see what I'm doing. Now, if you want to, and probably if your stone's a bit bigger than mine, you might like to cut back into that with your black pen, because the black pen works fine on these stones as well, and it might just give it a very sharp edge. So you're basically just outlining all the white lines with black. Working on such a tiny scale here, I'm wondering if you can even see it. Anyway, I hope if you're getting anything out of this, that you're enjoying yourself and that you're getting to have a little creative outlet and something interesting and new to do. Nata and hammer box. Enjoy.